Disney Pixar's Lightyear, the most popular character they've ever had to come out of the Toy Story franchises, gets its debut this weekend in theaters with its own origin story movie. And apparently it's not that good. WDW PRO from thatparkplace.com got a Thursday night peek at this film, watching it on Thursday previews, and dropped an article on thatparkplace.com that was none too flattering. We're going to talk about why. 3 months ago, I did a video on this in the middle of Disney's political machinations and their kerfuffle with the Florida House Bill 1557. And a lot of this centered around Pixar and what they would put in it. And indeed, Pixar did restore the gay kiss sequence into the movie, but that apparently is among the least of this film's problems. Surprise, it's Disney. Let's get into it. Renegade Online. All right, folks, welcome back. It's another great day here at Valliant Renegade. It's good to see everybody out there once again. And if you, as always, are like one of the many folks watching this video that are not yet subscribed to this channel, please do take a moment and consider hitting that like button, that subscribe button, hit that notification bell when we send out new stuff. Share this sucker out on the social medias, and of course, do leave a comment below the video before you head out today. And with me once again to talk about this one is my buddy WDW PRO from thatparkplace.com. And Pro, you just got out of the theater for seeing Lightyear. I have not seen it yet, full disclosure, but you did. And we got on the phone almost immediately after and had a conversation about this. You dropped an article this evening on thatparkplace.com with a less than enthusiastic response and score for this film. We'll talk about that. We're going to do a review of this. Just as a bit of a warning to everybody out there, probably going to be having some spoiler discussion on this movie. So if that's something that's going to be, something you don't want to listen to just yet, just fair warning there. We'll try to keep the spoilers, the big headline stuff, as much as we can clamp down. But there are some interesting pieces to this movie that you and I discussed, and we got to talk about this tonight because we've covered this before. And I was saying in the intro, I cannot believe I had about 10,000 views on a Lightyear video that I did back in March when Pixar and Disney announced that they would be restoring the Lesbian Kiss to this movie. Pixar has been trying to get, as they refer to it as, quote-unquote, overtly gay affection into their content, into Disney's programming, their children's programming now for some time. Disney executives have been obviously resistant to it, but then after everything that happened in the last few months, they managed to get their way, at least for now, on this Lightyear movie. But according to your review, which we'll leave a link to below, that seemed to be amongst maybe the lesser of the problems with this film when it comes to how it may perform. So, Pro, the floor is yours.
Take it away.
Yes, and please maybe take this movie away too when you're done. That sounds like
my favorite part about this movie was the popcorn, and I do not like popcorn. So this is going to be a fun one. Now, I'll start off by saying that Jurassic World Dominion, in my opinion, is a worse movie. But it is a worse movie because I just don't think that movie makes any sense. The pacing is terrible. Just looking at the script, it is convoluted, and I did not care at all for Jurassic World Dominion. That said, it is hard not to spoil stuff when it comes to Lightyear because it's almost impossible to discuss the movie and why it is bad without discussing the things that make it bad, and those things are definitely spoilers. What I will say about Lightyear is that when it comes to Pixar and the overtly LGBTQ affection on screen, now that I have seen the movie, I am amazed that Disney was going as far as they did and that the only thing that it seems like Disney cut was the actual kiss in the movie. I mean, this movie revolves around that relationship, and I'm not sure that came out in the marketing at all, and I can understand why. But this movie is explicitly about that relationship. And the other interesting thing, go ahead.
It's a relationship between a fellow star pilot of Buzz Lightyear's in the film, a female star pilot that he works with, right?
A female star pilot of darker skin tone than Buzz, who is repeatedly told to the audience is better than Buzz. And this movie wants you to gather the morale or the moral of the story, and it does so with bludgeoning conviction. I mean, it is not being subtle in the least about what it wants you to take away from the movie. But yeah, the relationship between the person who's either equal or above him in the Space Ranger, whatever this organization is, that's never really explained, but she has a significant other who's a woman. And what's odd about the movie is that they get pregnant. And so what happens then is that if you take small children into this movie, if you've never had the talk with them about some of this stuff, you're going to go way beyond that talk, because then little Johnny or little Susie is going to want to know if two mommies can get pregnant. So that's going to be something that's going to, it's something you're going to have to deal with if you take your kids to see Lightyear. Maybe it'll go over their heads, but it probably won't. So I wasn't expecting that.
Probably after what we saw specifically from Pixar when it came to the whole Disney debacle and into politics a few months ago. Pixar, if anybody out there cares to remember, they were kind of at the center of this thing. I mean, Pixar was one of the driving forces behind this whole Disney walkout, the protest of the Florida legislation. They were the ones most offended by the fact that they couldn't put all this stuff in their movies. So, this is their coming out party, I guess, in this film.
Well, so what's amazing about it
somehow doesn't surprise me that it went this far.
What's amazing is that if it's only the kiss that Disney said, no, we're not going to do the actual kiss. Mm-hmm. That is amazing that Disney had already went as far as they did, because this goes so much farther than any other Disney animated film has ever gone in that respect. And so Pixar had already, if it's just the kiss, I mean, they went way farther in terms of representation. And, different people have different thoughts on that. Different people want different things. But like we said, if you take your kids to this one, you probably are going to have to have a discussion about pregnancy and how that works and how two mommies can work.
That's probably exactly what Pixar wanted with this. I mean, that was the thought process. They know what their audience is. They know.
Oh yeah, they had Disney in a corner.
Yeah, I mean, they know they are trying to use this to drive a narrative. And I hate to say, considering that we are in Pride Month and we see story after story in the news right now about certain flamboyant performers reading library books to kids and doing family-friendly shows, guys in women's clothing, stuff like that. This doesn't surprise me coming out of Pixar. They're trying to drive a narrative, and they're trying to drive it into your kids.
No, and so let's just go into spoiler territory so I can explain to people what I'm talking about, because they may be saying, well, what in the world? What did Pixar do that could possibly go beyond, a kiss and two lesbians being pregnant with a child? Well, so here's the thing, Disney caving on the kiss is minuscule in comparison to the fact that in the movie, here comes the spoiler, Buzz Lightyear realizes that he was wrong for trying to complete his mission and trying to do what's right, because as a result of his catastrophic failure, which, by the way, in the movie, it doesn't seem like he is the one who did anything wrong, but the narrative is that he did something horribly wrong. As a result of that, the lesbian relationship was able to happen. They were able to have a family, and Buzz Lightyear realizes that if he had done what was right, then they would have never had this lesbian relationship. The whole movie circles around it, and it is the thing which teaches Buzz his ultimate lesson. So it's really it's just an odd movie all around.
I can't square this away with what this has to do with just a fun kids movie, you know, adventure film. Toy Story, Space Ranger, Buzz Lightyear, which, I mean, it's Chris Evans, not Tim Allen. So it's not even actually Buzz Lightyear. Let's be clear about this for a second. It is not actually Buzz Lightyear.
So here are a couple of the weird things about this, okay? So Chris Evans, number one, plays this very straight. There's almost no comedy except for the little cat robot that does some cute little things, but it's never really funny. And you really miss Tim Allen because there's not the range of emotions or anything coming through with this Buzz Lightyear. At the same time, so they've got these characters who are supposed to look more human than the toys that you're used to. Mm-hmm. But then every time they get into those Space Ranger outfits, they're modeled after the Buzz Lightyear toy outfits. So it's this very jarring thing where you have what are supposed to look like human adults wearing toy costumes out in space. You know, like they've got the really huge glow-in-the-dark buttons on their costumes. Mm-hmm. And it's just weird looking all around. But ultimately, you know, all that's kind of frivolous, right? Ultimately, I think what made me just be soured on this movie is that having gone from Top Gun Maverick, I thought was an awesome movie, and I thought that it had, it just taught the right things. Okay, so it was masculinity in its proper place. It was heroism. It was, you know, in the movie Maverick, feels like he needs to protect Goose's son from meeting the same fate of his father. And so he tries to protect Rooster, even though it causes Rooster to dislike him. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's a fatherly sacrifice kind of storyline. And so I thought that was all fantastic. Mm-hmm. Everything that Top Gun Maverick teaches is the exact opposite that Lightyear teaches. Now, that doesn't mean that the movie's bad. It doesn't mean that it's horrendous, but it means that if you really thought that everything that you liked about Top Gun Maverick, it's reversed in Lightyear. And so if you hated Top Gun Maverick, you may really like Lightyear. This may be right down your alley. Mm-hmm. Because it is a takedown of masculinity. It is a takedown of going with your gut instinct in certain situations. It's a takedown of individualistic heroism. Every time, well, I'll tell you this. So Buzz Lightyear gets coupled in this movie with three characters, mm-hmm. that he has to essentially babysit. And the lesson of the movie is supposed to be that, and they explicitly say this, okay, and all of the characters are of a different skin tone than Buzz Lightyear. But they explicitly say to him that they don't need to be saved, they need him to join them. Well, the problem is that they are so incompetent and so infantile in this movie that you can't stand them, and you wish they would just die or be captured or something. You like, I mean, you remember in Moana, you remember the little rooster, hey? It's been a while, three. Yeah, it's kind of vague. Okay, the little rooster that keeps falling in the water and it should drown, but the ocean keeps saving it and all that. Mm-hmm. It's three hey-heys, man. I mean, you're like, okay, so there's one point where they're like, you're supposed to feel bad that he won't take them on the mission. But the audience has got to be sitting there thinking, my God, they don't deserve to go on anything. Like, they couldn't order ice cream. Leave these poor saps alone. Of course he should do this all by himself. That's not the lesson you're supposed to learn. And this is honestly the first movie that I can remember, and maybe forever, that when the bad guy gives his, the bad guy always gives his speech, right? Mm-hmm. He always gives his villainous monologue. And he gives it in this one. Spoiler alert, people skip for about 10 seconds, okay? Here's the 10-second mark right here. The bad guy's Buzz Lightyear, by the way, everybody. Okay, we're back. So if you could believe that, it's literally the bad guy.
I totally, okay, especially after, look, and to remind you, especially after watching those Reimagined Tomorrow videos that Christopher Rufo got his hands on and leaked.
You're shocked, I can tell.
I mean, the same people in those videos are the political driving force behind this film. and it's following all the trash that they said in those leaked videos, just basically beat for beat from what you're telling me.
So when the villain gives his monologue, this is the first movie that I think I've ever been in where I listened to the villain and I went, actually makes a lot of sense. He's exactly right.
It was probably something like, yeah, you know, you should stand up and be a man and be protective of your fellow soldiers and your family, and you know, follow your gut instinct, like you said, and that was probably just, you know, that's why he's the villain in this movie.
Well, so let's enter into spoiler territory again for just a second. But so the whole thing about it is that the villain is Buzz Lightyear from the future, and he's figured out how to fix everything. He goes to try to fix everything, and modern day Buzz Lightyear tries to stop him because if he fixes everything, then somehow, even though this is never explained, the lesbian relationship will never happen. That's actually the crux of the matter. And at the same time, if you spend a second on it and you think, wait a minute, future Buzz is existing with present Buzz. Why, if we have branching timelines, that doesn't even make sense that it would erase anything. We've got branching timelines. But in the story, you're supposed to recognize that, oh no, it'll wipe out the lesbian relationship. So therefore, modern Buzz has learned his lesson, and he has to destroy the competent future Buzz who can now fix everything because mistakes are good, I guess. I never.
You know, is it any surprise, you know, with all of Disney's recent success when it comes to constructing multiverse timelines?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, there's an opportunity. I'm sensing an opportunity they can bring into this now. You're right. Doctor Strange could have shown up. We could have got the Disney Metaverse into this.
That would have been. I mean, like, they already had one white hero that they had to destroy in this film.
Oh, you're right. If Doctor Strange had shown up, then he would have had somehow. Well, he's also straight, I think, right? So he would have been showing up, and he would have been the savior. That's unacceptable.
Yeah, that's why
the
he was cut from
patriarchy.
WandaVision.
That's right.
Yeah.
See, they had to have the lesbian couple be the icon in the movie.
Wash, rinse, repeat. Disney. There you go.
But I don't see. So I don't know who this movie's for. I'll just tell you that I don't. Well, so you know how it's been marketed is that this is the movie, and it's how the movie starts off. It says that this is the movie that inspired Andy in the original Toy Story movie to go get a Buzz Lightyear action figure. After you watch this movie, you're like, why would any kid want a Buzz Lightyear action figure? Because this guy is an utter failure. Like, he fails, and he is just a washed-up loser, man. He is Jake Skywalker on steroids. And then when you find out who the real bad guy is, why would you ever play with a Zurg toy again? Secret, Zurg is just toxic masculinity.
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean, look, Disney loves to celebrate mediocrity, and I guess this is sounding no different. So I guess we'll leave it for the audience to decide on that one. As it stands right now, and I'll bring this up real quick, this is the box office expectations going into this weekend, as reported on Wednesday by Variety, one of the Hollywood Holy Trinity, as I call them, Variety, Deadline, and Hollywood Reporter. Box office, Pixar's Lightyear looks to blast off with a $70 million opening weekend. That's
blast off, man. That's spinning it pretty good.
That's a hell of a spin when you consider that the previous Toy Story franchises all opened, especially when you adjust for inflation, significantly higher than this.
But Valliant, it's a spinoff. It's a spinoff. That's the reason.
Oh, yeah. It's a spinoff. That's why we're going to get the spinoff Reva show from Obi-Wan.
Oh, yeah. I think it's coming right after the Rian Johnson trilogy. Don't worry, folks. It's on the way.
Yeah, it's on the way, folks. It's on the way.
That's right. They're not gaslighting you
know
at
what?
all.
Honestly, I hope they do it. At this point, I hope they do it. I just finished setting fire to this whole thing because, good Lord, I think the sooner we do that, the sooner we get to the point where everything can actually start getting fixed. So
I think this movie has to be the point where the pendulum shifts. It just has to be. One, because I don't know how much farther it can go. I mean, if people have just sat and listened to me describe this movie, like, where else can it go? How much more woke can this get? You know, where you actually turn merit into the villain. Like, where else can it go? And so you're looking at that $70 million opening. You and I were talking before the show. It's got 2 weeks until the Rise of Gru, the Little Minions movie comes out.
Yeah, the new Minions.
It's got 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
So how's it going to pull a profit?
The only way it can do that is that if this film performs in line in terms of legs with Top Gun, and that's with it based on this projection starting at almost $60 million less than Top Gun. This is a movie with a $200 million Pixar budget. $200 million. That does not include global prints and advertising. Now, it's got about 13 to 15 fewer countries it's going to be debuting in from what we've learned because of everything Pro just talked about. So that might scale back some of the costs. But realistically, they're still going to spend at least $100 billion to market this film. I mean, there's just probably more. Maybe 125, maybe as high as 150, although I don't think it might not go quite that high, but I'd say between 100 and 125 for sure. It's just very expensive to market these films these days. So they're 300 million at least all in on a film like this because Disney obviously is both studio and distributor. All the costs fall to them. This movie's got to get to 550, 600 million globally just to break even. Disney, right, Disney keeps putting out, I mean, you think about it, everything Disney has done in the past year in terms of releases has all come with a roughly $200 million price tag in terms of production budget. Now, a couple of them here and there had some film tax credits, but still, other studios out there have a much better handle on costs, and especially now at Warner Brothers that David Zaslav's in charge, I promise you. So this is, we keep seeing these operating losses quarter after quarter for Disney with their theatrical revenue and distribution. Their movies, they're spending a lot of money making these things, and they are just not performing like they used to. And I don't know if they are ever going to again, at least for some time. Doctor Strange has been... It just fell apart after the first 3 days, in the theater. Top Gun opened. To put it this way, Top Gun opened $60 million behind Doctor Strange, and after what 18, 19, 20 days, what has it been now that it's been open? Top Gun has gone from being $60 million behind after the first 3 days to being $61 million ahead at the same point that Doctor Strange was. That is 120.
You got to think Top Gun's going to change the filming industry. It just has to.
It's got to. I mean, it's just, that was a movie with, here's no politics. We're not pushing any messages. We're going to give you a tightly written script with well-developed characters that the audience can connect to because they've been written and structured properly. And we're going to give you a believable story with high-octane action, and people are going to walk out of this theater going, oh my gosh, I have to see that again. And that's... Nothing else has come close to that. Now,
and then you've got Lightyear, where you walk out of the theater and you go, ugh. So, I mean, if you think that this movie is going to take off on Disney Plus and kids are going to sit and be babysat by it, this is no Encanto. There are no fun jingles. Yeah. This is just dour.
Yeah. Yeah. That's depressing. But that's what I guess the folks at Pixar figured it was going to be a success for them. We'll find out soon enough. Although from what it sounds like, from what we're seeing, from what the box office projections are at this point, and I think, as you said earlier, what's the more likely movie that is going to want to be seen on Father's Day? Lightyear or Top Gun again? I have to take Top Gun at a heartbeat. I mean,
I know where most dads want to go.
Oh yeah, I can tell you right now. I know where this dad wants to go, and I know.
Hey, Valiant, let me tell you one more thing that I haven't told you in our conversation earlier in this video.
Please.
So just so everybody can understand what this movie's doing. The catchphrase that Tim Allen did so great with Buzz Lightyear, to infinity and beyond, right? Mm-hmm. They use that to make a fart joke. That's the big thing about the catchphrase. They use it to make a fart joke.
Oh my God. Well, you saw Patricia Heaton's comments on Twitter, I guess.
You saw Tim Allen's tweet the other day, didn't you? He made a joke about, well, he said that pansexuals, he saw a kid who was a pansexual because he was attracted to skillets. And I thought,
exactly.
You know, I think that might be directed at somebody.
Yeah, and it just might be. And then Patricia Heaton was having none of what they were doing. Like, how could they make this movie without Tim Allen? He is the heart and soul of not only Toy Story, but especially Buzz Lightyear, which I understand. And I guess I get what they were trying to do. Like, okay, well, it's not the doll. It's the character the doll was based off of. But at the same time, it's like, why not just get Tim Allen?
Wouldn't you have Tim Allen out on the red carpet with Chris Evans if everything was hunky-dory behind the scenes? Wouldn't you have him out there? Or wouldn't you have had Tim Allen do a 5-second cameo appearance in this movie?
Have him, invite him to the premiere. I mean, I know Tim Allen is working on the new Santa Claus movies for Disney+.
But, you know, there's not been a peep out of Tim Allen about this movie. He hasn't said anything. No, I'm so proud of Chris Evans, and none of that.
No, nothing like that. And this is probably why, because I don't know if this movie is going to be all that popular. And my final thought on this is this. Bob Chapek is trying to get out from under the weeds right now. And all of this started with Bob Chapek, the hostage video, and all this kind of crap. Again, centered around this movie, Lightyear, and Pixar Studios. They were some of the chief instigators, I guess we can say, for all of these problems that Disney began undergoing back in early March with the Florida House bill. Chapek just fired Peter Rice. He cleaned house a little bit there. I'm sure there's going to be more to come. You and I have talked about before about how there has not been much of a peep of anybody out from the Disney walkout, from Pixar, anybody out of that group since all of this went down, since Chris Rufo leaked those videos. If this movie performs poorly at the box office, and especially if Minions Rise of Gru, or whatever it is, comes out, but the new Minions movie comes out and outperforms Toy Story, outperforms Lightyear.
But it's a spinoff. It's a spinoff.
Whatever. Excuses all you want. If that happens, I think Chapek, that might end a lot of this. Like, because this film is definitely overtly political from that standpoint. So maybe
we're almost to the point where they call the fans bigoted. We're almost there. Just wait for it, people.
Well, they've all but actually said it, meaning they haven't used those words yet, but it's close. Or the Star Wars Twitter account called, "Don't be racist." They got close to that.
Oh, the Star Wars account was dogpiling poor innocent fans yesterday. So God bless those people.
Well, moms and dads,
kind souls.
Well, moms and dads, I hope that you got to watch this video. I hope this helped you make a decision on whether or not you want to take your kids to see this in the theater. Be aware of the conversations that you will likely have to have with your young children after watching this film. Again, whether this is your lifestyle or not really doesn't matter. But for parents of young kids, these are kind of areas that most parents don't want to go into with their 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-olds. And a lot of them don't appreciate it being snuck in, and it definitely got snuck in. Because, again, I asked Disney if they're so proud of this, promote it in the trailers, put it in the TV commercials, all this, tout it.
It's what the movie revolves around.
Yeah, but they didn't. And they didn't for a good reason, because they knew if they did that, they knew if they advertised this film as what it actually is, it would have been a disaster. They're counting on people going to see this based on the title card. Lightyear, Buzz Lightyear, Toy Story. That's it. They're playing on that nostalgia to make sure they can at least get one really good weekend of you walking in and dropping those $15 tickets on the counter. So thanks for joining us, Pro. Thanks for coming by. Make sure y'all check out that Park Place. Any final thoughts before we check out?
I just want everybody out there to go and be excellent and improve yourselves and reach your full potential, and therefore be the opposite of what Lightyear tells you should be.
That's right. Be Top Gun, not Lightyear. Until next time, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share the sucker out on the social medias, and of course, do leave a comment below before you head out the door today. And check on That Park Place, not only on the website, thatparkplace.com, but also on Twitter. The links will be in the description below. And until next time, take care.